Hi guys, and welcome to a new and another, why do I keep doing these? A very emotional video on Sonal's life. Now, it's been a while. It's been a while since I did a video, and I think the last one was actually the big announcement that Okada was leaving, which I was basically crying about. And then today's video is not much better. We have had the first big New Beginning show. So we had the first New Japan New Beginning in Osaka show. Wow, I am here. I am going to look at all the matches, and in particular, there are two, borderline three matches that truly stole my heart and had me emotional for so many different reasons. So yeah, going into this tour, we had the Road 2 shows. There wasn't really much going on. There was the last Road 2 show, which was really good in terms of like building up storylines for LIJ and the Empire Bullet Club and things. But this was the first big show, and really the card was stacked. Now, we started off with multi-man tag matches. Now, yes, it's a big show. New Beginning is, I think it's after Wrestle Kingdom, the first big tour, and that is where you start to build on everything going on throughout the year. Now, we had a 2-on-2 tag match, so it was Toru Yano and Yo versus Taguchi and Bolton Oleg. I mean, you got what you saw on the label. It was really funny. Bolton Oleg, so he is basically the last senior young lion. Yuto Nakashima and Oscar Loibe are in the UK for their excursion now. So he is holding that young lion flag proudly. As expected, it was hilarious. I think at the moment, the three funniest wrestlers in New Japan are Yano, Taguchi and Yo. While Taguchi and Yano have always been very funny and lighthearted, Yo has found himself in this comedy role, still putting on very good matches, but sort of having that extra edge, and he just looks a lot more comfortable than normal. Obviously, Bolton Oleg got the pin, but it was a really nice match, and I think a good way to start and get fans excited. We then had a 2-on-2 match, so this was, I'm looking down because like I said, it's just happened, but it's been a long show and there's a lot of whirlwind things. So we had another 2-on-2 match. So we had Bishamon's Hiroki Goto and Yoshihashi facing Great-O-Khan and Callum Newman. Now, remember, the rest of the Empire were booked for the big steel cage match, but these two weren't. Now, as expected, Bishamon won, but there were small things throughout this match. Callum Newman, holy God, that boy, he is so young, but he has captured the hearts of the audiences. They are in love with him. He is a junior heavyweight, but he is really stepping up. He is having matches with some of the biggest heavyweight names in the company and really being the perfect fit. Now, I was a bit skeptical and a bit worried because at one point, O-Khan took off his United Empire armband. But when we speak about this, it seems like there's no issues as of yet. But yeah, another really good match. We then had House of Torture. So it was a big 8-man tag, and it was House of Torture Yujiro, Sho, Evil, and Narita versus Hontai's Shota Umino, who's obviously facing Evil for the Never title. Desperado, who is in a feud with Sho, Honma, and Tiger Mask. Now, obviously, we saw the House of Torture team winning. Really, there wasn't much going on. This was just building upon the matches. So, at the end of it, the big one is Sho versus Desperado. So, Sho wanted a title match. Desperado's like, I'm not doing that. You took my mask. It's going to be a mask versus, something else. But then, in the end, it was quite funny. Sorry, this is funny my thing. So, at the end, Sho was like, no, this has to be a title match. And then Despi said something like, if we're going to have this match, but if you lose, you've got to join Strong Style, which is obviously his faction with Minoru Suzuki. There's just the two of them since Narita left. So yeah, that will be interesting. House of Torture is interesting because they have a lot of heat generated in Japan. And I think I did a podcast for True Heel Heat. And they said that on a survey, House of Torture were one of the top factions. I think they have so much potential to be amazing heels if they just wrestle. Do you know what I mean? Because they have, with Sho, Kanemaru, and Narita, some very good wrestlers. They can capitalize that while still being heels. We then had a 10-man tag match. So ahead of the big matches at Sapporo, it was LIJ versus Just 5 Guys. So Naito, Bushi, so I'll actually do it in pairs. So we've got Bushi and Taka are going to have a match. Hiromu and Doki, Shingo and Taichi. Obviously, the hair versus hair between Uemura and Tsuji, which, I mean, no matter who loses, is going to be a loss for us when the hair goes. And then Naito and Sanada for the heavyweight title. It was, and we've seen this match a lot, but I mean, as always, it's a very good match. There was some really nice interaction between all the different members, really setting up for it. And in the end, Sad Bushi took on his job as the electrician and got pinned by Sanada. Now, people have mixed reviews. I personally do not mind this ongoing feud with LIJ and Just Five Guys. It all makes sense. Sanada left LIJ for Just Five Guys, and I think there's still like an edge of all of them in their individual feuds, wanting to prove something. And as good as like I love Naito and Sanada, the stars of this are definitely Tsuji and Uemura. This hair versus hair match, everyone is on the edge on like who is going to lose their luscious locks. Now personally, and you're all going to hate me for this controversial take, while I think Tsuji's hair is amazing, I am just a sucker for Uemura's hair. Uemura is handsome as hell and his hair has so much more volume. Like, it just looks amazing. So yeah, that will be in the next review. But like I said, these 5 matches are very important to the wrestlers in different ways, and it'll be interesting to see how they play it coming up in the 2 Sapporo shows. I rushed through those matches, and that is because the next 4 matches was like the main bulk of the show. And let's bear in mind, so this show started at 8 o'clock our time, and it finished at about 12:30, 1:45. So this was a solid like 4.5 hour show. So we started with some tears because it was Kazuchika Okada's final match with Hiroshi Tanahashi. Now, it's not his final match. He has 2 more coming up in Sapporo. But this, for many New Japan fans, was probably one of the most important matches they'll see. The feud between Okada and Tanahashi is one of the most iconic in wrestling history. Okada came back from excursion, had a match against Yoshihashi at Wrestle Kingdom, challenged then IWGP Heavyweight Champion Tanahashi, and shocked the world with the Rainmaker shock to win the title. Since then, over 10 years, they have been fighting. They have been rivals. Then when Jay joined Bullet Club, they became friends, tag team partners, tag team champions. And this match was like the perfect culmination. Now, I'm going to be honest. The match itself wasn't either to their best. Tanahashi is not in good shape. But with this, Okada obviously held his own with like his own style of wrestling. But it was the storytelling within it. You thought that they might be like quite kind, but we still saw cocky Okada. Tanahashi wasn't going to let Okada go without giving him 100%. What was quite funny, so on the entrance, Okada cried because crowds were chanting, Okada, Okada. I was crying as well. But as you got further through, and you could see Okada playing up to those heelish tendencies, you could see the crowds then chanting for Tanahashi and then going, oh shit, like, Okada is leaving soon, let's chant for him. Now, going into this, I thought Tanahashi was going to win. Mainly because Tanahashi is the TV champion, he's the president. I thought, he's going to put himself over. He didn't. Okada won, Rainmaker, both men embraced in the ring. They were crying, I was crying, the crowds were crying. I did a poll earlier, like who's going to cry the most? Okada, Tanahashi, or me? Really, I should have just put another option saying New Japan fans, because as they hugged in the ring and Okada looks down at the lion mark, it was extremely emotional. Like, we still have 2 more matches, so I'm not going to get too down about it. But just to see like how far their journey has come from like rivals to friends. Well, so rivals to respect to friends. It just showcases the beauty of pro wrestling. And for many, that might have been one of their first feuds that they ever saw. Or one of the first real rivalries that stuck with them. Even though I didn't start watching New Japan until 2018. Seeing even that small, like in the past 6 years, that change has been monumental. So yeah, I can't really believe that this is like the final, I guess, chapter of New Japan's Okada and New Japan's Tanahashi. But who knows, if Okada ends up going to AEW, we could see it again. And I really think that the bond and the history of Tanahashi and Okada will never be forgotten. We then had one of the, I think the only title match on the entire card. It was for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So we have the champions God, Hikuleo and ELP. You know I love them. You can watch the interview I had with them before Wrestle Kingdom on my channel. They were facing Bullet Club's Kenta and Chase Owens. Now, a few weeks prior, so at the Road 2 shows, they had a match for the Strong titles, which God won. Now, this was for the IWGP ones. Now, I'm going to prelude with this. Kenta has not been his best, but actually this might have been his best match he's had in a while. I don't know if that's saying something. Similarly, Chase Owens really does thrive in these tag team settings. However, everything was going decent, you know, like I won't put it as like either men's like best matches. But you know, it was having some really good things until Bullet Club went to their shenanigans with Ishimori coming in. Now, I love Ishimori, you know, Chihuahua, he's a Mr. Chihuahua, he's Muscle Boy. But why you have to get involved with this match, Ishimori? Because it was with that, and I think it was a low blow from Kenta that Bullet Club won the titles. Now, not saying I don't like changing in titles and that heel faction shouldn't get it. God have been doing so much for these belts. ELP and Hikuleo together have been one of the biggest revelations that I've ever seen as a fan of New Japan. They are the weirdest combination ever, but unlike many other teams, they have helped each other. In particular, Hikuleo has said how monumental ELP's help has been to making him more than just the tall guy. Now, I don't know what the future is. It feels a bit weird that God dropped it. I think, is this their first or second defense? Because we know that, if anything, tag belts need to keep prestige by having consistency. So we'll see how this goes, but I know that this will not be near the end for God, and it'll be interesting to see how Hikuleo and ELP bounce back from that. Now, we had an amazing match, and I realised I've chatted for 12 minutes. We're going to have a very long conversation about these next two matches. So, we had Zack Sabre Jr. versus Bryan Danielson, part 2. After the match at Wrestle Dream where Danielson beat Zack. Zack has been building up for this match. His post-match comments on the Road 2 shows have been epic, so watch it. Including him talking about beating, I mean, maybe he didn't call him Tiger Bollocks, but Master Ass and things like that, because he had matches against Taguchi and Tiger Mask on the Road 2 shows. Right, now I want to tell you a little story. Now, this is not going to take up too much time. When I started watching New Japan, I started because of the junior heavyweight division. Similarly, WWE, I love the Cruiserweight Classic, where I saw Zack. Now, at first, I'm going to be honest, Zack's style of wrestling, submission style, didn't really hit with me. I love the high flying. However, when I started watching New Japan, Zack changed my mind about it. I remember slowly, but quite quickly, falling in love with his beauty and how he is in the ring. And I'm going to quote Chris Charlton, because I said this on Twitter, what he said. Zack is not just a technical wrestler, he is an artist. When he gets into the ring, he is like a beautifully choreographed dancer. And this match, I think it went 35 minutes, was not only probably one of the best matches of the year, but take it here, one of the best matches I have ever seen. It was a technical masterpiece from the start to the end. Now, technical submission matches have a tendency to maybe feel longer than they are. But this match seemed like over in like a blink of an eye, and many people would have happily watched it for longer. We always know that Zack is the king of transitions. So he did this in the match when Bryan Danielson, I'm going to keep saying Daniel Bryan, went off the top rope, and you knew it was going to happen. You knew Zack was going to catch him. But the smoothness in which he does it is still amazing. However, for the first time, he has someone who meets him with that. There was a beautiful mixture of mat wrestling, submission wrestling. There was a bit of up top action. And what I love is they combine this with their personalities. So early on in the match, it looked like Zack had injured his legs when he got hit on the ropes. But he played on that. There was a point where Bryan Danielson wanted Zack to go to the ropes so he could change into another submission, because they both have a similar view that if a submission doesn't work after a certain amount of time, change it. And Zack went, I'm not touching the fucking ropes. And it was the small details within this match that made it beautiful. The way that they were both playing off each other, using, like, they both have so much experience. And commentary kept linking back to this match that they had in a small little pub in the UK, and how much they have both grown since then. Two of the best in the world. Now, I personally think Zack is the better technical wrestler. I think Bryan Danielson is an all-round guy. He can do everything. But when it comes to submission and mat-based, the techers cannot be beaten. So it meant that when Zack Sabre Jr. won with a roll-up, the world rejoiced, I rejoiced. And the outcome, I guess, was perfect. So in the first match, Danielson beat with a pin, I think. This one won with a roll-up. Now, these two guys will want a submission finisher. So there is a door open left for a rubber match. However, in the end, after the match, so at the first Wrestle Dream, Bryan Danielson went to shake ZSJ's hand and he said no. This time, Zack went, and at first, Danielson seemed reluctant. But then he did it and lifted his hand up, and it was a sign of mutual respect between two of the best in the world. And now, according to social media, with Okada having 2 matches left, Zack Sabre Jr. has called out the Rainmaker. Now, what is fun, and I always said this, if Zack wins this shows that New Japan see big things for him. And with the New Japan Cup coming up soon, the future is so bright for the, and let me get this right, the vegan Hydra soba noodle techers, who is also the Prime Minister of the UK. I honestly, I never thought I'd be so passionate about a submission technical match, but it was holy shit beautiful. And if you don't watch any match from New Japan in your life, or your friends say, give me a match that will change my perception of what professional wrestling is, show them this one because it was beautiful. And you know what? We went from technical masterpiece to damn right crazy. I didn't know if any match could surpass this, and whether it surpassed it in terms of it shocked me, it did. It was the 5-on-5 United Empire versus Bullet Club War Dogs steel cage match, and the first steel cage match in 20 years for New Japan. And holy shit on my Tonys, I don't know what to say. You guys know I'm not a fan of blood, the very intense matches. I think I might be a sadistic person now after watching that. From the very beginning, so they did it in gauntlet style, and basically it was meant to be, I think, 2 minutes intervals. Ospreay came and he changed it. When I want a solid amount of time with you, Finlay. And as each man came in, it got more and more chaotic. So Akira, bless him, he was very worried about this. He came in, guns blazing. He came in, jumped on top of the cage, did like a swanton, got kendo sticks. Hanare came in full force. Gabriel Kidd the Madman, he is mad, came in with a big box of he went into the cupboard in the venue and just took everything but the kitchen sink. Dan Maloney came out looking like a kid who was ready to finish his year at school, but with forks on him. Alex Coughlin came out and I thought he had a cape on, but he was carrying armfuls of chairs. There were so many moments in this. So it went 65 minutes. It went an hour and 5 minutes, but it felt like no time at all. I was they said the 55-minute mark, and I thought, holy shit, I thought this has been going on for 20 minutes. There was blood. There was huge moments. I'm going to list a few of them. So, and this is in no particular order because there was so much going on. Alex Coughlin giving kendo sticks to Catch 2-2 so they could beat the shit out of him and he could show how strong he is. Gato bringing in a barbed wire table, chairs. They took the ring apart, which I guess really helped the Young Lions. So they were going into the actual boards. Hanare just being badass, having to be taken off and bandaged up and then coming out. Jeff Cobb just yeeting everyone across the room. TJP coming out as TJP, but at one moment being buried under chairs and coming out as the Aswang. Ospreay trying to protect Akira. Callum Newman coming in. Okan. There was so much going on, but everything worked perfectly together. There was beautiful storytelling. They built up each faction as extremely strong. And in the end, War Dogs won. And it wasn't surprising because Ospreay's on his way out, and if anyone needs momentum, I think it was Bullet Club War Dogs. Finlay, he needed to cement himself as leader and as that global champion. However, and I'm going to go this in steps. So personally for me, Akira and Hanari were the stars. Akira took on a complete, like, I know I sometimes baby Akira because he's much younger than me, but he showcased, this was a pivotal moment for him. Hanari, similarly, has always been a crowd favourite, has always been one of my favourites. But since joining the Empire and since the Empire have become baby faces, has really earned the respect of crowds. You could hear the crowds chanting, Hanari, Hanari, and I, like, was obsessed with that. Now, the pin, Finlay pinned Ospreay. It makes sense. Keep Finlay as this big bold champion ahead of his match against Dolph Ziggler, aka Nick Nemeth, at the next New Beginning shows. None of the men went out the same, but they all went out looking badass, whether it was the junior heavyweights or the heavyweights or the leaders. With all the doubt from all of the different members going into this match, especially with Akira, as wrestling fans, we thought, right, we've seen it in the past with Bullet Club. A leader's going, there's going to be betrayal. But then I forget that that's not always pro wrestling. At the end of the match, they all stood in the ring, the Empire. Ospreay gave a really heartwarming promo to the Japanese fans saying, I will be back. I don't know when, but that is a promise to you. Akira was crying about they were all holding on to each other. And even in the post-match comments, Akira said, I was a scared boy. But I'm here to represent my family, my country, my members, and he's going to shine. He said, we will still shine as Catch 22 to TJP, who we again thought was a bit of dissension going on. But TJP, you will do it as a junior and a heavyweight. I will lead the junior division. Hanari came out all bandaged and he started getting emotional. And as Ospreay spoke, I realised that professional wrestling is entertainment, but it's a family. While we thought that there might be some change of leadership, which I think will still happen, not everything has to be a betrayal. The Empire has now cemented themselves as one of the top factions, and by looking at the crowds, could be even more popular than LIJ, which is unreal to think about considering they have one Japanese member and they started as heels. This match, I have never been a fan of good blood, guts, gore, tables. This was done perfectly. It was done to allow everyone to shine, to bring out the best. I don't know what the future holds for all of them, but they all came out looking like superstars. And this will continue, especially like Akira said, War Dogs, I am still after you. Cobb said the same, we're out for revenge. This is not the end of Bullet Club War Dogs versus the Empire, and it just builds on what we can expect. And it was the perfect end to a really amazing show. Now, we still have the New Beginning in Sapporo cards, which we'll see the final two matches of Okada. We have the LIJ versus Just 5 Guys, title matches galore. And this was a great way to start it. So yeah, it was a phenomenal match. I think everyone had high expectations going into it. But did we expect to see a match of the lifetime candidate with Zack Sabre Jr. and Danielson? I said ZSJ. The pure chaos and beauty of the first steel cage match in 20 years from United Empire and War Dogs. No. And that proves that, you know what, you guys, you haters are worried about New Japan. Whatever happens, New Japan know how to put on shows. They know how to create stories inside the ring. So, that was me talking for about 24 minutes about an amazing show. So let me know your thoughts. I've obviously got social media at wrestling_chat, but talk to me in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on the whole show in general, but what stood out for you most? Hell, give me your hot takes on this cage match. Who were the stars? What do you see going forward? And I don't know, give me your stories about Will Ospreay, because we forget this is his last match. And as I put on social media, for me, Ospreay was the guide to New Japan. I watched the Elite, I knew about it. But someone told me, hey, if you like professional wrestling, there is this promotion in the UK, and there's a guy called Ospreay. You should watch it. So I thought, okay. I then watched Wrestle Kingdom, where there was a fatal 4-way with, I believe it was Ospreay, Hiromu, Bushi, and maybe someone else. And that's how I found my home. So let me know your favourite memories of Ospreay. Send him your well wishes. And hell, just send me your emotions, because this show, there was tears, there was blood, there was gore, there was title changes. And yeah, New Japan has started the year with a bang. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure if you do to give it a thumbs up, share it, and hit subscribe. I've not been as consistent, but I will be back. I will be back with videos that you want, with reviews, previews, green content, and everything. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoyed the show as much as I did, and I will see you guys soon. Bye!